Hey everyone, before this video starts, I'd like to give a special thank you to all my Patreon and Twitch subscribers. If you'd like to learn how to support this channel, possibly for free, just hang out till the end of the video. Thanks so much for watching, guys. This might break my brain. This might actually break my brain. You're not wrong. This is an insane video. The unexpected... I'm done. I can't speak. The unexpected lore. The unexpected lore of Martin Cabello. Martin's a son of a bitch, isn't he? He's crazy. I don't know, dude. Alright, you know what? Let's do it.
Hang on, if you're not subscribed and you like this content, subscribe. You'll get to see the video sooner and support the channel. Only a handful of our viewers are actually subbed, so please give it a try.
Okay.
Here's my gas can. My brother Josh blew himself up and his two kids. People coming in
Jesus Christ. I remember all this.
my house and assaulting me and my wife and hurting us and stuff. Is your family missing?
Oh my God. Martin Cabello's early years.
For those who don't know, Martin Cabello III is
Cabello.
the semi-famous owner of an Instagram account with almost 500,000 followers. He is known around the internet for posting strange videos of himself doing humorous things and speaking nonsensical and odd phrases. His constant and daily posting on numerous
and eating raw food.
social media platforms gives his wide audience a consistent view into his life and thoughts, often leaving them in confusion. Most people tend to play off everything Martin says as a joke, or simply choose to make fun of him for the funny things he says, coupled with the fact that he is autistic.
Bro, is he actually autistic? Is that confirmed? Because I would not doubt it. Bro, the other day I watched him make a video, which isn't going to be included in this because this video is a bit older. But he made some insane video about how he was inducted into MS-13. It was insane. I don't know if I don't know what's real and what isn't.
In doing so, they not only do him a disservice, but also themselves. As a child, Martin was always perceived as curious. He would play tricks on friends and family using his grandfather's parrot, who would always indicate how many people were on the other side of a wall.
And I used to tell people I could see through walls to the point where I had to stop doing it. They thought I was delusional.
Many think that his childhood could be a factor to his strange behavior since he has had a long dissociation from his family.
I also think he has like a weird religion. I don't know if I could find it. Like Cabelloism or something.
In many of his videos, he discusses the horrific past he alleges to have with his family, who took part in all manner of abuse and exploitation. Martin claims to have a restraining order against his own mother for the reasons just stated, as well as because of an apparent insurance fraud attempt. This dissociation isn't only with his family, though. It also includes the government and/or military, as well as organized religion. However, Martin hasn't always held such a vehement disdain for these groups. He believes that when he was younger, he was crucified and then saved by a US soldier. He claims this event started his infatuation with the US government and the military. This event is not confirmed and will be touched on later, but Martin does have a fascination with the US.
I think that none of the things that are confirmed. Also, there is kind of funny enough. This is a video recommendation for the history of autism under this video, so it gave me a chuckle.
Military, and that fascination starting at such a young age could have eventually led to him joining the military. Martin was also influenced heavily by the Roman Catholic Church during his childhood. His exposure to Roman Catholicism and the Bible led him to develop.
I'm a Roman Catholic, you know? I'm always running around. If you don't get it, then you don't get it.
Develop some strange and unique views on spiritual topics, but that will also be explored later. When reaching adulthood, Martin apparently joined the US Air Force. Although previously he has claimed that he is ex-military, the reason I say apparently is because according to Martin, he doesn't know.
People keep asking me if I'm former military or active military. I don't know.
He often alludes to taking part in government mental experiments such as drug therapy and Project MKUltra. Projects such as these, specifically MKUltra, are experiments on human test subjects to see if specific drugs such as LSD could be used to brainwash and control individuals. These experiments were led by the CIA and were done mostly illegally in foreign nations such as Germany, Japan, and the Philippines. The experiments were essentially forms of torture done primarily on those considered enemies of the state because they were confirmed or speculated communists.
Is Martin a fucking sleeper cell, dude? Holy shit.
The project officially ended in 1973, 4 years before Martin was born, but the sensitivity of the project has led many to believe that it continued for much longer than what has been reported.
Today's subject, MKUltra. Is it real? And if it is, does it come with a free education?
Is that Mortal Kombat Ultra? Is that what he's talking about?
At some point in Martin's life, he received a traumatic brain injury, which seems to have caused all the confusion he experiences.
Yeah, that Kind of makes sense to me. No disrespect to Martin, but I'm not super surprised.
He speaks a lot about his constantly shifting memories and how he remembers certain things but cannot recall others. These fragmented memories have left him with strange and horrific events stuck in his head, causing him to believe the people in the world around him are responsible for truly awful crimes that he speaks of quite often. Details about his time in the military, his apparent involvement.
Maybe he's just fucking woke, dude.
In psychological experiments regarding his neuroplasticity, as well as events that allegedly have taken place between him and his neighbors, all mixed together through his videos, and
he eats raw meat as well, I think.
It is unclear what out of all of this is true, and how the stories actually line up. Martin also allegedly works with the Catholic Church to help foster children being used for trafficking by the US military. He's provided documentation of these foster children, although has never shown them on camera. One of the major—
Well, that's very responsible of him, truthfully. Like, if he actually is doing fostering kids, not putting them on camera is 100% the right way to go. That you shouldn't be doing that, you know?
Major aspects of Martin's view of the world he lives in is that he lives near and among those who are propagating a massive child trafficking ring. His belief in that is a key motivator for much of what he posts, as a large portion of the things he talks about relate directly to the idea that he's being silenced and persecuted by the people in charge of this ring. What exactly it is that Martin does to combat this is somewhat unknown. As just stated, Martin apparently uses some kind of fostering program through the church to combat this, although to what extent he does this, when, where, and how are all completely unknown. One might even argue that none of it is even true. Essentially, Martin has had a rather crazy and mysterious past. His childhood is filled with strange events, and his early adulthood years prove to be even more confusing. What we do know is that Martin used to be much larger and in much worse shape than he is now, which changed.
Wow! He looks drastically different here. He looks like Moist Critical here, but he looks like Fat Moist Critical here.
After he became dedicated to being physically fit. This video will focus mostly on his more extraordinary claims and theories, but we would be remiss if we didn't mention his physical transformation, as well as the fact that many of his posts are related to fitness and diet. It appears that Martin may have some kind of psychosis, as much of what he says is beyond unbelievable and oftentimes contradictory. The main point that he constantly tries to get across is his involvement in some kind of child liberation group that is a target of both the government and his neighbors, that try to shut down his efforts to protect children and expose the corruption of the organizations that support this system. His changing memories and odd testimonies indicate that much of what he speaks is likely completely untrue, although there are times when things he talks about contain at least half-truths that correspond with reality. Enter Josh Powell.
Who is this?
I want you to reach out to those 3 men who say that they were members of the FBI and ask them how many people they did that to, that you guys watched the things they do to me, how many other people they did that to, and how many people actually survived. Honest question, right? You can reach out to the myriad of people you guys seen come in my tour guides and ask them, right, how many people did they do that to? And how many survived?
Yeah.
I could do that.
Right now, I think I'm the only one.
I could do that. Easy. What? What do you mean Josh killed his wife and kid? What the fuck? The kid on the live stream did that?
There are a lot of different sources that cover this topic in depth. This will always be a serious point of discussion, since it is very tragic. Josh Powell was born in Puyallup, Washington in 1976. He met his eventual wife, Susan, in Tacoma, Washington after a dinner party. They moved to Utah and had 2 sons, Charles and Braden. In December of 2009, a neighbor checked in on Susan and her sons after a church service, and was there until about 5 p.m. Apparently, this was the last time she was seen. Josh took their 2 sons on a camping trip that night, and were missing for the entire next day before returning home. The mysterious part is that Susan did not return home with them. But, according to Josh, she was left at home while they were on the trip. The rest of Josh's story was also suspicious, because many details didn't line up, such as Josh not telling his boss he wouldn't be coming to work on Monday. A lot of other occurrences happened that also led many to believe Josh might have actually killed his wife. As a child, Josh's parents weren't the best.
Who the fuck is Josh? Like, what is the connection to him and Martin?
It is reported that his father showed him and his brothers illicit content at a very young age, while also allowing misbehavior to never be corrected. These behaviors included, but were not limited.
Wait, hold on. I gotta re-listen.
Young parents weren't the best. I believe Josh might have actually killed his wife. As a child, Josh's parents weren't the best.
I wanted to see if it was his parents did that to him, or if he did that to his kids.
It is reported that his
it's probably both if it was his parents, which it seems to be.
Father showed him and his brothers illicit content at a very young age, while also allowing
like, what kind of illicit content? Like Playboy boobies, or like fucking something disgusting, you know what I mean? Like something like predatory
behavior to never be corrected. These behaviors included, but were not limited to, killing small animals, such as a gerbil that was his sister's pet, and threatening his mom with a butcher's knife. Things like these all raised red flags, leading many to believe that Josh was also mentally unstable and willing to kill his wife for seemingly no reason. It didn't help that in the following years after Susan's disappearance, Josh acted with highly suspicious behavior. Josh apparently asked co-workers about hiding bodies in a mine shaft, and withdrew his children from daycare after they revealed some information that I don't believe he wanted them to. Charles revealed that they had gone camping that weekend, but unlike how Josh told it, Susan did join them but didn't come home. Braden drew a picture of the family in a car and labeled that Mommy was in the trunk. Josh moved back to Puyallup, Washington, staying with his father, 2 brothers, and sister.
What the fuck?
After moving,
Somebody in the chat said this guy, apparently, this is what this person is saying. I don't know if it's confirmed. This guy killed his wife because his dad was sexually obsessed with his wife, then blew up the house with his children inside. Are you is that serious?
back to Washington, the website SusanPowell.org was launched to defend Josh and make it seem as though all the suspicion towards him was a front from Susan's family to smear his name after the potential abuse of his wife. This website has not had a confirmed creator, but many believe it to have been Josh and his father Stephen. There are also many theories about what actually happened to Susan. Perhaps her body was stored in a mine shaft, or maybe she and a journalist who also went missing close to the same date as her had escaped to Brazil. The website and Josh claimed the latter. Josh kept claiming that his sons were being neglected by Susan's parents, and until the day he died, continually expressed that he didn't have anything to do with the disappearance of his wife. Finally, on February 5th, 2012, Josh Powell, while on visit with his sons, forced the social worker out of the house, murdered his sons with a hatchet later found near his body, and set his house on fire, finally killing the boys and himself. This is a tragic story, which could probably result in a video itself because of how in-depth and weird this story is.
Jesus
but why is it
Christ.
important to the lore of Martin Cabello? Oftentimes, Martin is quoted saying,
Here's my gas can. My brother Josh blew himself up and his 2 kids. Right after members of the military, like Alan Jaber did to me, psychologically gaslit him, set up fake scenarios, psychologically torturing people, physically torturing people.
Many might think this is just an awful joke, or simply a weird thought that Martin has. But it's not. Remember where
I mean, to me, what it signals to me is potentially this story blew up or in some capacity, and he saw it, and then he has a TBI, and then he might have like somehow mixed the story into his own life and his own conspiracy narratives. That's what strikes me first.
Josh grew up, and where he ended up before killing himself. Puyallup, Washington. Martin was also in
Yes, blow up. Thank you. Jesus Christ.
Washington during these events. Martin's mother lived right behind Susan and her family's house.
Wow.
Josh and Martin both attended Rogers High School in Pierce County. And an even stranger detail is that Martin was born November 29th, 1977, and Josh was born January 20th, 1976. There's no way that these two didn't at least know each other, and it's very likely they could have been friends. The house that Martin currently lives in, which is the address in his Instagram bio, is a mere 12 minutes from the house.
He actually is autistic. This is my autism journal. Please block my account if you don't like it. You can send fan mail. Okay.
Josh blew up in 2012. Martin believes that Josh was gaslighted by the government to kill himself and his 2 children.
Don't. My gas can. I was just talking to Kara and my neuroplasticity, remembering when I started this sequence, my son asked me if I was going to blow myself up or hang myself in this corner with my gas can, like one of my neighbor's son-in-laws did.
Jesus
You think
Christ.
about this in real life. If evil men in the military can interject into mine and my wife's life and exploit her autism and my autism and convince her that I'm having an affair and that I'm a bad person, they could get me to lose it and shoot up a school, blow up a building, shoot up the sheriff's department.
What the
Right?
fuck?
They could abduct her and abscond with her, right? And the community would think I did it. And I'd have no other choice but to take my own life. Right? Can you guys connect some dots? Do you have the ability to connect some dots?
Oh, yeah, man. But I feel like maybe he's connecting more dots than exist. I mean, that's a hell of a conspiracy narrative. And the biggest problem with conspiracies is you can't disprove a conspiracy because they're not proved in the first place. That's one of the worst part, the most dangerous thing. That's one of the most dangerous things about conspiracies is that they're unprovable because the proof doesn't exist. And there's always like, well, if you present like a logical thing, like I'd say here, I'd be like, Mark, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, yeah, but you just don't understand. You're not woke enough. You know what I mean? That's like one of the things.
He thinks in a very similar way to what happened to him, which will be talked about later on, that there were fake scenarios created around them by corrupted members of Susan's family and the military. and Josh's only way out was suicide. Martin believes that Josh was being framed for the death of Susan, which is what Josh said about the situation. Martin seems to indicate that the framing was being done because of Josh's attempts to help exploited children, perhaps the same ring that Martin constantly tries to expose himself. Keep in mind that the evidence seems very much to the contrary. I suppose that Martin's explanation is that the entire thing was set up, and all the evidence that pointed to Josh's involvement in Susan's murder was fabricated. This ties into Martin's belief that what happened to Josh is happening to him. What I can confirm is that Martin claims to have fostered children.
Well, that's a really bad indicator, because if Martin has constructed this conspiracy narrative that the government set this other guy up to take the life of his wife and kids, and Martin feels like he's in a similar situation, to me that's very alarming for Martin's wife and kids.
And in his mind, it is in order to protect them from child trafficking and drugs. Whether this is true or not is still a gray area within the law.
The neighbor behind me, I don't know if you know the Powells. Their son was part of my group of people who did international foster care and ended up committing suicide.
Oh. Wait a minute. Yes. Powell with the two kids?
This one he's saying is somebody else.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, so he committed suicide, and people ask why. I'm like,
Martin called the FBI on his own accord to say that he thinks it's happening to him. Jesus Christ, is that real?
Initially, he reached out and said, I'm being harassed and psychologically tormented and told I need to do things, and I can't deal with it anymore. He ended up taking his own life. And I volunteered to say, I'll volunteer to you publicly send kids to my house, and we'll see how it works out.
There's another connection between Martin and Josh that many others don't point out. Josh was, at least until college, a Mormon. He belonged to the Church of Christ of Latter-day Saints, and until college was going to LDS Woods.
Is there some kind of church abuse there? Because it's not uncommon. I think we watched a scenario with a girl. I forget the specifics of what happened to that person, but they talked about how toxic the Mormon church was for them and how manipulative it was and how regressive the ideologies are. And I think it was Mormonism, and how it's a tighter knit community that's very male centric and very oppressive in a lot of the scenarios. So
it may seem unnecessary to mention Josh's religious affiliations, but upon examining the spiritual claims and the views of Martin, there are stunning similarities between them and the testimonies of the founder and prophet of Mormonism, Joseph Smith.
All right, we got part 3. I'm gonna go pee very quick. Oh, it's the religion. My guy pretty like a girl. Oh. I forgot to minimize the screen so I could tell when I have to edit this out, but that's okay. Let's play the alerts real quick.
You and Yeen just resubscribed for 2 months.
Hey, thank you so much for the sub, brother.
A horse and carriage crashed through my house today.
That's fucking terrible, brother. Holy shit. Oh, damn. Look up Judy Hopps Rule 34. Why? Why would I do that? I already know it exists. I'm more curious to see if Judge Judy Rule 34 exists. Alright, let's get back into this video. Part 3, Cabelloism.
Martin has a profound fascination with world religions, specifically Christianity. On many posts, he quotes the Bible or uses references from Bible stories. He also many times uses the Bible and events from it to make cryptic, rhyming messages. This fascination with Christ most likely came from his interactions with the Roman Catholic Church at a young age. According to Martin, while at church, he witnessed what he calls a body of light calling to him. Remember this term as it will become integral to his views on reality. He informed the pastor of this body of light and...
Thank you so much for the gifted sub, brother.
Gifted 1 subs.
The pastor, quote, entertained him, and followed Martin as he took him to where he said the light was drawing him. The two of them followed it until coming to a door with a window where the pastor apparently ceased entertaining Martin and actually claimed to see God in the place Martin had guided him to. For whatever reason, the pastor called the archdiocese and the military, which led to the military giving Martin's family a down payment on a house to ensure that he would be an altar boy. Why these forms of authority were involved and for what purpose isn't really stated, but we must assume that the pastor wanted Martin in the position of an altar boy because
Is this confirmed or is this his claim?
Because of his ability to see the body of light that led him to see God. If Martin did work as an altar boy, he would have been around Christianity and those who devote their lives to it. He does confirm that he had to participate in an altar boy graduation. The starting age for an altar boy is generally around the age of 7, and becoming a knight is around 15. Assuming this graduation is at around the age of 15, throughout Martin's most influential years, he was around the Catholic Church quite often. The point of mentioning this is to provide what seems to be the origin of what has been titled as Martin's own religion, Cabelloism. Cabelloism doesn't have any real followers, as it doesn't actually contain a moral code or even a real theology. Although he does state that he is looking for disciples of Cabelloism to prove, quote, through natural sciences the existence of the Creator. Cabelloism is a mix of the Bible, quantum physics, and a dieting method called ketosis. Basically, Martin connects biblical terms to things relating to physics and biology. In Cabelloism, the Bible is not necessarily a book of objective truth, but rather a collection of codes that all other religions carry as well. For example, the first man, Adam, is a code for atoms, the things that make up all matter. The 7 seals in Revelation are the 7 divisions of the electromagnetic field. A phrase that is repeated a lot is,
I can't find the website, the Cabelloism website.
A body of light that Israelite, obviously meant to sound like the word Israel or Israelite. In Cabelloism, light itself is God and is the origin of all matter. It sacrifices itself on a cross over from energy to matter so that we humans are created in the image of the Creator, another 2 plays on concepts integral to the biblical narrative. A casual look at his page will reveal countless posts where he is either repeating these strange mantras in the videos or in the caption.
Don't mind me while I babble on for a few seconds. G is us. G is us.
Babylon. That's a very important religious thing.
Jesus. Who is G? That is us. The singularity and birth of every religion's reality. The body of light, standing in the center 7 seals of the electromagnetic spectrum, with a head, a torso, 2 arms, and 2 legs, that truly does sacrifice itself on a crossover from energy into all the matter we need to be created in its image.
His Twitter page is also chock full of these strange mantras, linking all kinds of other things together. His handle is literally My Babel Project. His bio also says that the Church of Scientology helped him write 2 books, a rabbit hole that I won't even begin to dive into. The name of Martin's Instagram page is also quite peculiar. It is a bit hard to read, split up with underscores that make it difficult to understand what is even being said. Most would read it as Time to Mass, So I Exist. But really, this name is in reference to something Martin is obsessed with called the Higgs field theory.
Time to Mass, So I Exist. That's what I see. Tie me to Mass, so I exist? I don't know.
So I exist. But really, this name is in reference to something Martin is obsessed with called the Higgs field theory. This is a physics theory that goes...
Is he naked?
This name is...
What the fuck? Wait, what? He's actually just naked in this picture. He's like legitimately naked in this picture. Like you can see his pubic hair. Oh my god. Bro, why? What the fuck? Oh, bro, I hate myself sometimes. I accidentally nay-nayed myself. That's just weird though. Why?
Most would read it as Time to Mass, So I Exist. But really, this name is in reference to something Martin is obsessed with called...
Why would I point that out? Because somebody pointed it out to me. And if I have to struggle, if I have to suffer, you have to fucking suffer. Alright?
The Higgs field theory. This is a physics theory that goes a bit over my head, but it has to do with mass, potential energy, and energy transfer. Martin describes the Higgs field theory as such, an infinite field of energy that dominates every area of the universe and...
I'm sorry, but the headphones kill me. Because Daniel Larson also walks around with headphones, and I feel like it must have something to do with being autistic. I'm not even trying to be rude, I'm just saying.
And traps our matter in its field, tying it to mass and giving it time to exist in reality. Through this explanation, we see that the title of his page is a play on that definition, with the underscore between TI and ME being there to make it able to be read as both tie me to mass so I exist and time to mass so I exist.
My garage door opener? Now I want you to think about my
Helps with overstimulation, that makes sense.
name. Tie me to mass so I exist, and apply that to yourself. Your consciousness, your soul, your spirit.
I think about tying me to like the mast of a ship. Mast? Am I thinking of the word mast? The mast of a ship, or is it a mass? You know what I mean. That's what I think about. Mermaids.
The organization of information inside the energy that makes up your spark of light that is real light cannot be created nor destroyed.
The main idea of all of this is that he, Martin, has been given some form of divine revelation on the topic of human diet and biology. One could argue that to be a follower of Cabelloism is simply to follow the diet and workout regimen that Martin presents in a large number of his posts. An entire video of its own could be made regarding Cabelloism as a topic, although
I feel like whatever he's doing diet-wise, probably not the best. I don't really know. I mean, then again, who the fuck am I to say that? Am I right? God damn it, play.
Though this probably isn't a very fruitful discussion as far as the fine details go. Obviously, all of this is simply drawing random parallels.
He drinks raw eggs and shit, right? Yeah. And he eats like raw meat, I think.
Between concepts and words and applying them in such a way that is senseless and ever-changing. When introducing this section, we mentioned Josh Powell's former affiliation with the Mormon Church. Despite Martin's connection to the Roman Catholic Church, his self-proclaimed origin story is very similar to that of the founder of Mormonism. Martin claims to have seen God at a young age, ultimately leading him to create his own religion. He also seems to allude to persecution because of his views and abilities, though through the personification of his Ernie doll when he displays him being tied to a tree and tortured for making a body of light that Israelite appear, just like what he did in the church with the pastor.
Now we gotta tie Ernie to this tree. He won't stop making a body of light that Israelite
What the fuck?
appear in the 7 seals of what a rainbow reveals. He definitely must be a witch, or a brujo, or something like that, but his grandma isn't
What the hell's a bedouval?
very pleased with him making people appear in the light, so he's gonna have to suffer till he stops.
This is very similar to the testimony of Joseph Smith, who claimed to
What
have
the
seen
fuck?
God at the young age of 14 and was subsequently persecuted, according to his testimony. This may be an unintentional parallel, but it's certainly possible that if Josh and Martin ever spoke about their religious views in their youth, Josh may have spoken to him about the alleged story of the prophet of his religion. Could it
I mean, it does. I wouldn't doubt it, especially if you mix a TBI in the mix. Like, at what age did they say? I might have just not heard it, but at what point did they say that he got a traumatic brain injury? Because it wouldn't be weird to me if somebody, this person, if Martin experienced his life and then now he had like a traumatic brain injury, and so then he gets fragmented information from his past pop up, and then he applies that to like whatever conspiracy narrative. And we, for all we know, he got the conspiracy narrative from something else. You think it was when he was a kid? Yeah, I don't know. There's a picture of it back and like earlier. Maybe I should try to find it.
Could be that Martin took inspiration from the story of Joseph Smith and used this idea to formulate his story of
Probably.
seeing the body of light and then becoming the founder and centerpiece of his own religion. This may be total speculation, but it is certainly possible. Cabelloism being entirely fabricated by Martin doesn't seem very important in the long run, especially when compared to the real-world legal implications of many of the things that Martin speaks about. But Cabelloism and the beliefs it contains may actually be very central to the way that Martin views himself, others, and the world.
Okay. Trouble in the neighborhood. I got in one little fight and my mom got scared and said we have to revamp the show and not make it funny anymore and have a serious social conversation about it. Yeah, look it up. There is a new Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and it's very serious. I don't know. I haven't watched it yet. Probably won't.
I don't know if you can see this sign. It's a picture of me. It says, "Caution, there's a predator." Whoever put it there,
What the fuck?
can you make sure you put it at the rest of the bus stops that surround my community? In real life, children got to witness me get them out of weird situations where men were setting them up to be preyed upon. I'm a danger to men who want to have sex with the children that congregate at bus stops in my area. So can you make sure you put those pictures up everywhere children congregate? I truly am a danger to those men who want to have sex with those kids.
Martin's current and ongoing issue is with his neighbors,
This is a team project. It's like 3 different people working on this.
Al and Jerry. This is all 100% testimonies from Martin. We do not intend to make this seem as though it's the truth in any way. But Martin believes that the Pierce County Sheriff's Department, alongside his neighbors Al and Jerry, are running a pedophilia ring. Currently,
Okay.
Martin is trying to help children get out of sex trafficking by the US military. There also seems to be some correlation between this and an event that Martin claims gave him a traumatic brain injury. Martin has changed the story a few times, so here are the details that aren't consistent. An FBI agent, or someone from the US military, sometimes it's both, comes to Martin's house. He then takes Martin's wife and tries to do a series of either sexual or physical harm to her in order to get Martin to sign papers. There are some facts that differ. Sometimes it's to take their son away. Sometimes they bring prostitutes and try to make Martin fornicate with them. One time he even
Why?
mentions that the clothing company, Helly Handsome, had sent them to get him to sign an ad waiver to promote their products,
What?
which he must have given into, seeing as he had gone through a long period of advertising their clothing and gear.
Helly Hansen makes me hella handsome while into helping Hanson, because honesty and integrity are part of their corporate policy. When I trek the mountains and travel the 7 seas, Helly Hansen makes it a breeze.
Their
Did he write that himself? Do you think he actually got like an advertisement thing from Helly Handsome or whatever, or do you think he just thought he did, so he did that? Like he started doing like advertisements for him. You know what I mean? Like, is that actually an official advertisement? You know what I'm saying? He did have bars, though. That was spitting hot fire, if you ask me.
And what he constantly repeats that they gave him a traumatic brain injury that led him to seek professional help from either therapy or medicine. The confusing part is that there is a potential actual event that happened that may be the inspiration for these claims about his persecution from the government. This actual event starts with Martin apparently strangling his son for some unknown reason. Martin's parents came to stop this, but how they knew is unknown. Our current theory is Martin and his son were arguing. Heather called Martin's parents, and they came over to intervene. By the time they had arrived, Martin was strangling his son. This apparently led to Martin's son getting a restraining order on his father. The correlation? The FBI or military people are Martin's father, or at least those who are there to enforce the legal action needed on his behalf. Martin's mind sees them as another figure that he dislikes, which is the US military because of his past relations with them. The paper he needs to sign is the eventual restraining order.
This is insane.
At one point, he did end up calling the police to report, but the phone was apparently tapped.
I called 911 when some of those soldiers died. 911 transferred me over to the chain of command at the FBI and the local military bases. And the chain of command said they had not sent their best to silence us yet, and they would. Who did the military, my community of women and children, and international community see the FBI and the chain of command at the local military bases send to silence us? So men could...
I feel like not for nothing, but like if the military was gonna do that, wouldn't it? They would have been done. You know, I feel like they would have succeeded. You know what I mean? Like if this was a deep conspiracy, they would have just succeeded. This guy seems to just be a bit unstable. Like he said the military sent people to kill him and they couldn't do it. I feel like that's how. What is he made of? Like he's a robot?
In place for blackmail, to commit treason for counterintelligence. Who did the military send after threatening to send people on a tapped phone call to silence me?
These specific neighbors, Al and Jerry, allegedly broke into his house again, assaulted him, and re-injured his traumatic brain injury. He points out that they wrapped him in a garbage bag and left him for dead on the beaches of Ocean Shores. This city is approximately 2 hours and 25 minutes away from Martin's house in Puebla, but it's a repeated fact that Martin makes sure to mention every time he brings up his neighbors Al and Jerry. A somewhat similar occurrence happened, but instead he blames Josh Powell's grandparents. These events are only documented on Martin's social media. In a recent post, he reveals newer memories of his wife being kept from him after this traumatic event by her attorney.
I'm having these discussions with my wife about her attorney. I'm telling her I remember or have a memory of her attorney keeping my wife from me after we were beaten, raped, sex trafficked, and forced to give away a child so that a Dr. Courtney Hunt and other people can make money off of my wife's and my information. Her attorney repeatedly sustained that traumatic brain injury so other people could make money while pretending to represent her and me. That's my memory. When I reported bestiality, sex trafficking, homicide, children being forced to have a dead body, things like that, her attorney was one of the people that helped cover that up so other people could profit.
Even for Martin, this area of alleged events is strange. Unlike everything before this, it never really affected people directly. We never see Martin's mom, nor if she was actually abusing him. Josh Powell was a real person, and the events in that story are horrible and tragic, but Martin's comments on it haven't really affected the outcome of the events. Instead, this time, Martin has put his neighbors onto a chopping block, spreading information, possibly misinformation, that could potentially ruin their lives. But to Martin, he thinks he's doing the right thing. Like Josh Powell, he thinks that these people are trying to gaslight him. To him, they are trying to get videos of him breaking his moral code. There is another person that is a possible suspect. Matt from the FBI is a villain in Martin's story that was not only responsible for the events described earlier, but also part of the investigation on these events.
Today's subject, situational awareness. Matt from the FBI, who was assigned to investigate assault and rape against me and my wife, covering up the rape against me and my wife, and then trying to set up the murder-suicide situation of me and my wife to cover up the theft and selling of babies. Does that make every one of the cases he's involved in required to be reinvestigated, since he's actually a criminal as well? And would that require his chain of command to be investigated as well for covering that stuff up?
Dude, this is insane. Like, I'm fucking flabbergasted.
And is that how bad guys in our area are getting away with sex trafficking and pedophilia? A connection in the FBI.
The only other proof of gaslighting is hidden within the children that Martin helps. Martin says in one of his posts that the children have witnessed these similar events happen multiple times.
But do these children even exist? Because we said before that he or his claim is that he fosters kids, but he's never shown them on camera, which would be the responsible thing to do. But then at the same time, it's also possible that it's just a story just doesn't exist, you know?
They witness the FBI, police, or military trying to gaslight Martin by threatening lives or by taking his wife and threatening to do other things that Martin has explained in depth multiple times.
The Tragedy of Ernie. Okay.
Ernie, for those who don't know, is a Muppet from Sesame Street, paired.
He's not a Muppet, bro. He's a puppet. Okay? The Muppets are a different thing. All right? This is just a puppet Ernie from Sesame Street. A Muppet is like Fozzie Bear, like waka waka waka, right? This is not they're not Muppets, bro. They're two gay puppets that engage in aggressive homosexual actions with each other. Which one is the top and which one's the bottom, though, in all honesty? Like, I would make the assumption that Bert's the fucking dom, the daddy dom, and Ernie is the sub, you know? Ernie's not a Muppet. Is he a Muppet? Bro, this is... I'm fucking gonna kill me. Is Ernie a Muppet? What? He is a Muppet? What the fuck? What the hell is a Muppet? What the fuck? Wait, all of them are... Is fucking Big Bird a Muppet? Oh, shit. I got that wrong, bro. That's crazy. Fucking... Hey. Sounds like Papa Gut's the real Muppet. Am I right, guys? That's the moral of this story. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Check this out. Well, alright, time to move on, dude. Miss Piggy's hot. She can get it.
Next to his roommate, Bert. Bert is portrayed as weary of the world, while Ernie is naive, but often the troublemaker. Ernie's naivety connects to Martin's own view of himself, an innocent child who seems to get himself in trouble when he doesn't mean to. In the series of posts, Martin is seen torturing Ernie in many different and unique ways. He can be seen waterboarding him, burning him at the stake, and even hanging him. What if I told you that in Martin's mind, he is Ernie?
Alright, prove it.
Starting with one of the more famous clips that we looked at earlier, Martin reveals that he needs to burn Ernie because he is creating a body of light that is real light.
Now we gotta tie Ernie to this tree. He won't stop making a body of light that is real light appear in the 7 seals of what a rainbow reveals. So he's gonna have to suffer till he stops.
Ernie is creating this body of light that is real light, maybe not of his own choice, and is being punished for it. Martin was punished in a similar way, according to his own story. Something we didn't mention in the section about Cabelloism is that Martin apparently was crucified and burned, and a US soldier saved him. He describes, almost with tears, his testimony, making it all more believable.
Here's a detail from my childhood that led to my infatuation with the American Special Forces. When I was a little boy, I got crucified. They placed me on a cross and lit it on fire. I thought I was dying, and I called out to God and an American Special Forces agent from the back, "Hoorah! Who is raw?" And he proceeded with a phrase, and he walked into the fire and removed me from it. The witnesses across the street and things like that wrote that I had disappeared. I vanished. And that guy told me if I grew up and got my own phrase, I could walk through walls.
What? What does that mean if he got his own phrase? What does that mean?
If Martin was a previous US soldier, then it is important to note that Martin also saves Ernie, which we know because we see Ernie make multiple reappearances.
It's like a fucking game theory here.
Ernie then goes through a
Ernie is Martin Cabello.
series of different torture episodes, similar to how the government and CIA would torture individuals taking part in the MKUltra experiments. Some of Martin's posts also start with Martin playing out scenarios with Ernie that then lead into story time.
This is Ernie's pimp ride he uses to pick up chicks.
Nice.
People keep asking me why Josh Powell committed suicide and blew himself up with his 2 children.
Wow, incredible.
If you pay attention to the story from the very beginning, he said he was being framed to look like a bad person while being hunted and psychologically and physically tortured by members of the military. And everybody said he was insane. The military doesn't do anything like that. And then I decided to pick up his gas can and show the world, does the military actually hunt, stalk, and try to kill the people who take care of sexually exploited women and children and try to frame them for shit they never did? What do you think the international community and the local community of women and children got to see the military do? Right? They got to see Josh Powell was speaking the truth.
What?
Sometimes these scenarios are meaningless, like in the video just played. but sometimes they're related to the events of the story. Or sometimes, Ernie straight up does something from Martin's past. Martin even posted a seemingly unrelated meme about Ernie being a war criminal. This would have no relevance to someone just passing by, but as we look deeper, there is a chance that Martin sees himself as a war criminal because of how he turned against the military and their horrible ways. He sees his own—
I mean, I think that was just like a popular meme about Bert a while ago. I don't know if it's that deep.
Torture from his past and sees his experiences through acting out scenarios with Ernie. The biggest question is why? Why Ernie? Why repeat the torture? The reason is because he uses Ernie to create a digital library of his memories.
Do you think— I don't know if that's true at all. It feels like a reach, but you think Martin fucks Ernie? You think Martin like rubs his dick on Ernie? Just saying.
That even through brainwashing and MK Ultra-esque torture, he will be able to go back to these videos and remember everything, unless they are deleted, of course. Ernie is an expression of Martin's memories, a method for him to demonstrate and broadcast the things that happened to him in such a way that the average viewer may not see it as anything revealing. Ernie is Martin, and that's what all of this is about. Just as Ernie is repeatedly beaten, tortured, and even nearly killed, the soldier is always there to save him, despite being from the same establishment that causes his pain. Ernie is Martin's messenger, the one through whom he reveals his apparent truths. Ernie is merely a doll, and the messages in
It is an intrusive thought, you know.
the videos he is in can be easily ignored or overlooked because of the silly nature of the puppeteering. But in reality, Ernie is Martin's most prolific voice.
Jesus.
If you think we're making this up or simply stretching his
horrifying.
nonsensical posts to make a funny narrative, you are wrong.
I mean, I think that's a little bit of a stretch. I don't think you're doing it to in a malicious way. I think it's just that last part's a bit and much for me, but maybe I'm wrong.
Everything just presented to you is what
Maybe this is like one of his alters, is Ernie.
Martin calls transference, a psychological phenomenon in which a person dealing with intensive negative emotions will transfer their experiences and feelings onto someone or something.
This week's subject is going to be transference in the field of psychotherapy, or the ability a human has to push their feelings and emotions off onto someone else or an inanimate object so that it doesn't trigger PTSD or an anxiety. I'll give you an example. Say I was tortured or went through a traumatic event. A therapist would have me talk about that event.
I guess Martin's admitting it. I guess that's why they got this theory from. So I guess I was wrong.
As if it happened to Ernie, my doll, so that Ernie would carry those emotions, Ernie would carry those feelings. Allowing me to talk about those things happening to Ernie desensitizes me to those feelings and allows me to no longer carry those feelings inside of me, since Ernie is carrying them for me, alleviating that pressure on my psychology so it doesn't exacerbate my PTSD or anxiety.
What do you say, Mama God? Object? What do you mean by that?
This week's subject, transference in the field of psychotherapy.
Whether you believe that any of these events ever actually occurred, Martin seems to believe they did. Ernie is the key to everything. If you want to uncover what truly happened to Martin, well, that may never be known for sure. But if you want to at least get an idea of what he believes happened to him and what continues to transpire, you'd be wise to examine that rugged and beaten, but alive and strong Ernie doll.
All right. Wow, that was something, man. Then okay, slime nugget and chef or chief. I don't know. Interesting. Well, that was a hell of a video. I'll tell you that much. It was very bizarre. But, yeah. Thank you so much for watching, guys. And another special shout out to all my Patreon and Twitch subs. If you'd like to support this channel further than you already have by just watching the video alone, go down to the links below where you can sub on my Patreon, which will allow you to get your name on this beautiful black wall. Or you can go to the Twitch page and you can actually use a free Amazon Prime sub, if you have Amazon Prime, to subscribe. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.